This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs on the Hogstye Network.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 4, Episode 15, brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington on all the social media platforms. And I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
And we're back bringing all things Washington sports to life to the mighty Hogstye Network on audio and YouTube channel on video. So, all right, Matt, I'm just going to start off with the usual crazy stuff that people do. Should the Nationals trade Scherzer, by the end of July? He hasn't had the greatest of years. They're not having the greatest of years. His contract is tradable. Should they do it?
No.
All right, I tried to be one of these crazy people.
No, I'm not just going to say no. I'll back it up with facts. Yes, we know this is the end. Scherzer's deal ends at the end of the year, but also Scherzer's older. Who's to say that he doesn't want to re-sign with this team? And you have to also think about it. They're paying him for the next 7 years, whether he plays here or not. So, I wonder if he doesn't just re-sign. He loves DC. He loves this area. This team can, with a few tweaks, can make another run. I'm not saying for another World Series, but they can make a run. Look at their staff right now. Corbin is doo-doo. I don't know what happened to him. Strasburg can't stay off the DL. Joe Ross has ups and downs. He pitched magical last weekend, and then, he goes out there against the Mets in the first game yesterday and just completely, one guy beat him, let's be honest, but he's not really been on point. They don't really have a legit fourth and fifth starters. Lester's been up and down. He got his first win yesterday in 10 tries. And, aside from, the big bats that you brought in, aside from Schwarber, Bell is pretty much hitting I think he's hitting like 240 something. He has ups and downs. This team is just not, they need tweaks. They need to tweak it. It's like when they won the World Series, they made these little tweaks that worked. Like I remember them bringing in, I think it was a second baseman, Cabrera, older guy, veteran. He's in Arizona now, but he was clutch when you needed him to. You had Ryan Zimmerman as a full-time player when you won the World Series at first base. He's really good off the bench, but the moves that they've made, they haven't really put it all together yet. So no, I would not trade Max Scherzer. He's the best pitcher still on your staff. And like I said, I don't think that Scherzer is looking to get out of town. This isn't a situation where he's done with the Nationals. He wants out. I think this is a guy that you could probably bring back for another 2 or 3 seasons on a pretty decent contract next year. And we know, like I said, I know he likes DC. He loves the team. And Rizzo, that's one of Rizzo's big gets. That was one of the first big gets for Rizzo, aside from Jason Worth, was Max Scherzer.
Yeah, and the problem I would have with a trade is it would be 2 minor leaguers and a ball. They never trade anything for real.
Right.
You don't player. It's not like I'm going to get a right fielder that can hit.
Right. Right.
They don't do it. And I agree that without Scherzer, your pitching's and you still have to draw fans.
Right.
And
you still got to make money. And the stadium's at full capacity now. You've got to get these fans. Look, Rick, I don't care. I don't want what happened a couple of years ago where Philadelphia Phillies fans were buying 75% of the tickets and calling this Philadelphia South. I don't want that again. And if you start trading all your guys away, look, you've already lost big names like Rendon. You lost Harper, and look, the Harper thing worked out in the end. We won the World Series, but you lost Bryce Harper, who was a huge name in the league. You've lost Anthony Rendon, who was not really a big name, but he was a Gold Glove winner, and a big part of your team. You've lost enough pieces over the past couple of years that if you just throw your hands up and say, well, we're sellers and you're going to trade your best pitcher, what do you have?
Yeah, I was in town during the weekend giving tours, and there were a lot of Mets fans in town because I saw them by their jerseys.
You could hear them on the damn broadcasts.
I know 5% of DC residents are New Yorkers transplanted down here since 9/11. So we've always had a lot of New Yorkers here, but I saw them on all around the touristy areas, they're down here for the weekend, and they're wearing Mets jerseys. And yeah, Mets, I don't know. I hate Phillies fans more than I do Mets fans. Don't like either of them, but
well, the Mets are second fiddle in their own city, so they got to come down here.
Yeah, track ride down. So if you're in Philly, come down, take the train. It's about 2 hours. You're getting off near the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
You can take the subway over if you want. See it, be back home. I mean, it's a simple thing. Same kind of thing for New York, just add an extra hour. But there's a lot of workers here. So
look, if they decided to fire Davey, fire the complete staff, and throw their hands up and say, we need to rebuild, this team is too old, then yes, I would say trade Scherzer, trade Strasburg, trade whoever you can that's going to fetch something. But like you said, Scherzer's going to fetch 2 minor leaguers and maybe like a late draft pick. And, draft picks and minor leaguers are not guaranteed, because if they were, they wouldn't be trade bait. I always look back to when the Nationals traded Lucas Giolito to the White Sox for Adam Eaton. At the time, Giolito was nothing special. He was highly touted. He was highly drafted, but when he got his opportunities in DC, he did not perform. Now, whoever got a hold of him with the Chicago White Sox completely transformed his career, and he's one of the top pitchers in the American League. But you're not guaranteed that that's going to happen. You're not guaranteed that you're going to bring some guy in here who's doo-doo off the scrap heap and completely reform his career into being a all-star. That's just not a guarantee. And, I would rather have Scherzer. I mean, Scherzer means more to this franchise than he would for some other franchise. I mean, the graphic and the pomp and circumstance when he pitches. I mean, hell, we call it Scherz Day. It's Scherz Day whenever he's going to pitch. I mean, come on now. No other team is going to embrace him like that.
Yeah, if I'm an occasional guy buying tickets to the Nats, I'm looking to see when he pitches.
Yeah.
Can I go? Who's pitching that day? You telling me somebody's sucking pitching? I don't know if I want to pay them money.
And I'm not disrespecting his ability, because Eric Fetty's been pretty good this year, but I'm not excited to go see Eric Fetty pitch on a weekend as I am compared to seeing Max Scherzer pitch. Grant Paulson was talking about it on the radio the other day. They're counting down the possible Max Scherzer starts, and he's trying to buy tickets to every Scherzer start. That's how important Scherzer is. He doesn't have an Eric Fetty tracker. He doesn't have a Joe Ross tracker. He doesn't have a Patrick Corbin tracker. He's worried about Max Scherzer. And I think that, look, if Rizzo and management is smart, they try to hang on to Scherzer until he retires. Let him retire a National. He's meant more to this franchise. He means more to this franchise than he meant to Detroit when he pitched in Detroit and won a World Series there, because they had 3 great pitchers up there.
Yeah,
I just think he means a lot more to this franchise. It's like if they were going to try and trade Ryan Zimmerman. Ryan Zimmerman is Mr. National. We know that. Scherzer is right behind him, as far as popularity, as far as national recognition. I mean, come on, dude. You can't get rid of that.
In the end, I don't think they'll trade him. I just don't. But it's something to talk about here in June.
Yeah, I know. We got time to kill.
Well, training camp starts around the trade deadline.
Exactly.
Training camp writing about baseball on there. Talking about football, the Washington football team had its application for the trademark of Washington football team rejected by the Trademark Commission. Kind of a surprise. There's a guy who, there's lots of guys that cyber squat on names.
There's one main guy, though. I can't remember his name, but there's one main guy. He has Washington Football Club. And I guess the patent office said that it was too close to Washington Football Club for them to approve Washington football team. Now, this guy's been on the Junkies. He's been written about in the Post. And I hate to say it, but giving this guy the gratification and the satisfaction of interviewing him and everything, I mean, this is what the guy wanted. And apparently he's, according to his lawyer, he's open to negotiating with Dan Snyder for the name. I'm like, come on, dude, really?
Well, I mean, listen, I have a website called Monumental Thoughts, and I wish Ted Leonsis would come to me and say, because he is Monumental Sports. I was here before he was.
Right.
My blog predates that. But if he said, hey, I'll give you 10 grand so I can have Monumental Thoughts as my column.
Sold.
Dude, here's the keys.
Sold.
I mean, I'm for a buck, and I'm not giving it. But there are a lot of, and I didn't do it on that thing, but when the internet started back when Grandpa was a young kid here, there were people who grabbed the names like Walmart, Ford, and Chevy, and all that, trying to do this. And the courts ruled that you have to actively use that name in a site. You have to have some kind of commerce. You have to sell. You just can't do a squat. Now, I don't know that this guy is selling Washington football team T-shirts or something out of his trunk, because I don't see that. So I don't know why they're letting him have precedent on this. I'm really surprised. The team has 6 months to appeal it. You're only going to really get into this if you want the name. Otherwise, it's not worth the squeeze to spend this money.
Right. That's why I was kind of surprised that they even applied for this patent. I mean, they were able to sell Washington football team gear last year, and obviously, like we've talked about in the past, it's been very minuscule. Like hats, T-shirts here and there, just the stuff that the guys wear on the sideline you were able to purchase, but it wasn't anything crazy. Like if you go to another team's store on Fanatics, like there's thousands of items with this branding on it. There was not that with the Washington football team, because we all know it's a transition name. And that's why I was so interested that they applied for the patent with the patent office. And I'm surprised that they're even trying to sell merchandise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I get a Monday morning merchandise email from the team every time. But new names, it's just gonna be hard to be excited. The newest name I like is Seattle's got the Kraken. I like that.
Yeah, original.
That's a cool name. I don't know, the Warriors, the Wolves, and all that. It's kind of one of those whatevers and keep going.
But there's a big difference, Rick. The Seattle Kraken are a brand new team. This is a team that's been around since 1932 as the Washington Redskins. This is a team that was forced to change their name due to bigger corporations threatening to not pay them. It's a different situation here. Well,
Darryl Green was on the air the other day saying if the team went 14-2, they could call them the whatever. I forget the name he said. And I absolutely agree with that.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, if the team wins, let's say the team goes out there as Washington football team this year and makes the Super Bowl. You're not changing that name. you're keeping that. You're not going to then go to the Warriors. So there's some of that.
But even if this team finishes 9-8, is in contention for the playoffs and maybe gets bounced in the wild card,
then you've had 2 playoffs under the football team name.
Yeah, but I think that a new name would be very attractive for a winning franchise. If this team goes out and is crap and wins 5 games, nobody's going to care.
Well, as we said last week's show, if you missed it, you missed a good one. Amazon Field, Welcome to the Jungle is the name.
Right.
We really, I like that one a lot.
Hey, look, I got a promotion. You buy season tickets, you get free Amazon Prime for a year.
There you go.
That's $100 value right there.
For those of you who are not Prime members or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know who isn't a Prime member.
Oh, we are.
Oh, but well, you're missing out.
Goes there. So, it's a tough one. I give them that. They make it harder than you think it would be. But this cyber squatter here has definitely got him going. He says, "Well, I offered him a bunch of other names. Yeah, like the Washington Dogs or something. I mean, yeah, sure, you can have these dumb names.
Yeah.
Oh, and to be negotiating. Yeah, whatever, dude.
Yep.
Before we get going, crabs finally got to the crab truck. I don't know what was best me not to do it, but man, crabs are expensive. I say this every year, but mediums were $65 for a dozen out here in Waldorf. You go to the wharf, it's like 100 or whatever. And he had some super colossals, as they call them. Mm-hmm. They were charging like $165 a dozen.
Captain Billy's is $45 for a half dozen of number one hitting that number 2 mark. They're expensive.
So they got a deal and didn't realize it. But my guy, I don't like telling anybody where he is because I get him myself. But there's several in Waldorf that do this.
Yep.
It's a better deal, but it's crazy how much they charge and crazy how much people pay. And I told him he should have grabbed a bunch of cicadas, boiled them, and sold them a dozen. Some idiot would buy them from him. Get stuff, you just boil them, and they're about gone. Thank God. Goodbye, cicadas. And next time you come here, I don't think I'll be here. I'll be the one on the ground. So,
all right. On that note, we got to go.
All right. We're taking 2 weeks off. Be back July 11th.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye.